checking her audio. Okay. Hello, my TV. My name is Alihia. I'm your host as usual. Today I'm with Peter Yang, who is a filmmaker and so many other things. And we're going to talk about his career and sort of the projects he's working on. So I want to start off by asking you, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm
Yeah.
really glad to be here. Hello, everyone out there. Nice to see you.
Yeah. And I say filmmaker very loosely as an umbrella term because you've done so many things in the industry, but I want to ask you how you started off.
So I actually went to college for economics. Hadn't have any plan to become an actor or stuntman or anything that I am right now. But when I studied economics, I graduated. I tried to get, just your quote unquote regular job that my dad wanted me to get. And moved up to Los Angeles. I was working at a market research firm. But at the same time, I was doing for fun, I was just doing extra work, and which turned into stand-in work and different things like that. It was a PA or once or twice, so kind of a journeyman through the film industry. Once I got my SAG card, then I decided to make that plunge, and I told my job that I was working with at the time, I was, because they were paying me $16 an hour. I was a entry-level business development specialist. And as a SAG background, I could make $18 an hour. So I told them, hey, if you can match this, I'll stay. But if not, I did like that job. I was like, if you match it, I'll stay. And we'll do $17 an hour. So I was like, all right, put up my peace signs and I headed out. And so I started doing background work full time at that point. I was making pretty good money doing stand-in work, commercial background. And during that time, I was also studying, Meisner technique at the Ruskin School of Acting in Santa Monica. I did that for quite a few years. And while I was there, I did a master class there as well. And then, because I was a martial artist growing up, I was a 5-time national champion in Taekwondo, and I had a really good fight record, and I fought for my college team. They kept on pushing me, hey, you should meet the stunt guys. Hey, you should meet the stunt guys. Hey, there's a stunt guy over there. You should go talk to him. So I started finding out, okay, there's this whole other industry too, inside of the other market inside of here of stuntmen, of physical people, and I'm a very physical person. So I started, doing training as a stuntman, learning the ropes of how to take a punch, how to kick, how to, take a bottle break, how to do ratchets, how to do air rams. Make these magical things happen that happen on film, reality. So I kind of fell in love with that, and so while I'm doing my acting, I'm also doing stunts, and then while I'm doing all this too, I'm also paying very close attention to what's happening on set. And I really liked. I've been a writer since I was younger. I learned that from my sister, who publishes graphic novels. So I started screenwriting. I started making my own short films, and I didn't go to film school, but I kind of used that as my film school and learned more and more about it. I was winning a lot of awards and film festivals, and I found my voice and what I wanted to say, what I wanted to talk about, and what I wanted audiences to feel when they watch my films. So I just kept on going with that and cultivating all of it, and then also with my business background, learning the business of Hollywood and how to get projects made and how to market myself and make my career go forward as a performer as well. And started meeting, I've been in it for 14 years now, so, just meeting people and keep everything going and keep a strong idea of who I am and what I want my art to say, and also just have a lot of fun with it, because, there's nothing more fun than doing a fight scene.
Yeah. So for those early, short films and, stories that you were producing and writing, what was your inspiration behind those?
I am very much into just the news, into current events. I am very interested in philosophy and the human condition. So, I just took all of the things that I thought about on an everyday basis, and the things that I was learning and about, everything from quantum physics to psychology, and really just putting that into my stories and really figuring it out. So even my first action film, it was an action film, it was a short film, it's called Nothing is Sacred, it's on YouTube. It did very well in film festivals across the country, and that one at its core was about human trafficking. which, it's an action film, so there was like a lot of the other things, but the underlying story was about human trafficking, and that was something I was learning about at the time. And then I kind of like, I had written a story in a feature film that kind of went with that short film. My next one was called Pawns. It's also on my YouTube channel called Simplicity Pictures. And Pawns is another action film, but it's an allegory for warfare. And it's basically it's based on the Churchill quote, "Old men make war, young men fight and die." And you have these two crime syndicate leaders who manipulate their best men to fighting each other to the death so they can settle a wager, right? So, and that obviously came from me watching the news and seeing these crazy wars that we're in, wars that are going around on the world, terrorists doing this, that, whatever. I mean, all this kind of culminated on me coming up with this idea of how can I get my message across, but also be entertaining, and then also work on my skills as a filmmaker. And then my last film I just came out with recently is Mask, and that's also on my YouTube channel, Simplicity Pictures. And that one deals with veterans and suicide and PTSD. And that it has the topic is very specific to that in the short film, but it extrapolates to just the mental health crisis that we have in general, especially something after COVID. We all really have to take note of, a lot of people start isolating a lot and, and not figuring out their mental health. And people are paying that price, and nobody really talks about it. So, and suicides are on the rise. And so a lot of my films always have to do with what I see in the world, what I am trying to figure out for myself, but then also what I want to say and how I want to influence others to think about their own life.
Yeah, so these are all very important topics and issues. So as a creative person, you have this idea, you have this script, you want to produce something. How do you surpass that wall of getting people to see it? Because I know you have that, economics background. Do you find that helped in getting your creative visions out there?
Of course, yes. I have to say that there have been many people that I've worked with over 14 years that I would say were artistically more talented at that time, or more knowledgeable, but they didn't make it work because they didn't know how to run their business. And that's really what I think I learned from my economics background in college was entrepreneurship, marketing, and how to run a business. And that's really what acting, stunts, filmmaking is. It's still, a business. If you're just doing it for yourself and nobody else, then you do it in your basement and don't show anybody. That's not what's happening here. There needs to be a conscious reception from the audience.
Yeah,
and you have to think about the audience and know that they're going to see this, and what are they going to get out of it? Is it going to be constructive for them, or is it going to just be this fluff that just evaporates in their mind after they watch it? Which, sometimes some people have made that very profitable. So there's different ways, but at the end of the day, it is a product, and you need to figure out how to sell that product to an audience so that they will watch it, and not only watch it, but refer their friends to it.
Yeah. Before we move on, I do want to ask you, because you do stunts, is there a particular stunt that you find, most exciting to get to do, most challenging?
Lately I've been able to do some really cool fight scenes. And what's nice about fight scenes is that they encompass all stunts. So usually, you can have maybe an explosion and then it'll just be like a certain thing. But a fight can be fight, and then all of a sudden an explosion happens. So, fight scenes are always very fun because there's so much creativity that can go in them. There's a lot of beats and movement that you have to keep up with, and really there's a rhythm to all of it. But then also there is so much, depending on the budget and how many things are going on with it, there's so much opportunity to add in an explosion, a bone break, a flip, a fall, all these different things that we like to do in stunts that are kind of big and fun to look at. You can put those in a fight scene, and so when you get a fight scene, you don't really know what it's going to come into until you read the script and see what is asked of you. But then it can be anything from just getting beat up by a baseball bat, which just happened to me last week, or I'm doing like a 100-beat fight scene with guns and knives and explosions and ratchets and all these different things. So there's so much that can go into all these things. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it looks like you do a little bit of everything within the film industry, right?
Yeah.
But we've had a very interesting couple of years, the pandemic and the strikes, right? How have you found that affected your work, especially now the projects that are getting picked up recently?
Sure. It's been very interesting for a long time. And I think that the pandemic and COVID, the pandemic and the strike exacerbated all this. So really what changed a lot of things was when we stopped doing DVDs. And we kind of moved to this business model where you go straight into streaming, and then now you don't have a DVD sale that's going to be able to make some of your money back. You have to either make it on ticket sales and concessions and all these different things. And then when you sell it to streaming, then there's only a certain amount of things that happen, and they can keep on playing it. We've been trying to figure it out inside of the different contract negotiations in order to make it a little bit more profitable for a performer, but it's been a lot less. And that's just unfortunately a fact of life. And with the pandemic and with the strikes happening, it really just kind of made that shift even more, because now it stopped a lot of that work. So now the supply, again, we go back to the economics, right? We tend to not think about films as products, but they are. A TV show or a film is a product. And when you can't work on those films and TV shows, it's not just, I don't have anything to watch. No, you are literally limiting the supply line or supply chain of those products, which is entertainment. So when you had the pandemic shut everything down, not a lot of things were being made. That changed the supply and demand economics of the industry. And then when we did the strike, also the supply and demand got changed. And then now we're talking about AI, and there were some things that kind of came out of that. I was a very outspoken critic of the contract that we had, but it got passed, and now we are continuing with AI, and the human labor market inside of the film industry is going to be shrinking exponentially now, and that's going to change things. So now that's part of the supply. How the cost of the supply might go down, but then also the people are going to not as many people are going to be needed. And what's interesting to think about is that the Great Depression back in the 20s, that was only I think something like 25% unemployment, and that was a depression of the country. And you think about the human labor market inside of TV and film, now we're talking about possibly 40, 50, 60% reduction. Now, what's that going to do to the human labor market within us? If 25% can do it for the country, I don't know, what is it going to mean for us? So we have a very weird future that's coming to us. I'm a little bit worried about it, but at the same time, as a professional inside, I think that we all need to just figure out where our place is going to be in this new future, how we can leverage these tools to our benefit, and also try to preserve human-made products in the market.
Yeah. So this is not only affecting the business side of things, but as a creative, there's a project you have coming out that it's sort of informing your artwork as well, right? Mm-hmm. Can you talk about a little premise about it, or are you still not talking about it?
No, yeah, I'm currently in the development stage of a feature film that I wrote. It's done very well with internationally with screenplay competitions. It was just the top 10 in the International Screenwriters Association's Table Read My Screenplay competition in Hollywood. Didn't win, but it was top 10, so really happy about that. And the International Screenwriters Association, they've been very great to me. One of my other screenplays won their Emerging Screenwriters competition, so I have a long history with them already. But my film, it does deal with AI and simulations. It's about a lonely man in the near future who's running simulations that are indistinguishable from reality. And so this is kind of like a Groundhog Day scenario inside of his apartment, where he's running simulations over and over of his date with a real woman that he wants to have a date with. But the problem is that this simulated woman that he's practicing the date with, the real woman's brain scan is not in the system. So that woman is just an amalgamation of her social media profiles and his memories of her. So that obviously is going to cause a lot of problems. And not to mention, he's also addicted to pornography simulations. So I created something called a V-cell, which I think is going to be something in the future. Right now we have incels, involuntary celibate people. And I think in the future what's going to happen is through technology, there's going to be a lot of more people who are going to become what I call V-cells, where the only intimacy that they have both emotionally and physically is through simulated people or virtual people. And you can see that right now. Some people are marrying their computers, AIs, whatever. So it's a future that I see coming, and my movie is a meditation of what that future could possibly look like. It is a little bit dark and twisty and a little crazy, but I think it's going to do well, and I'm really excited to make it. And right now, like I said, I'm in the development stage, so if anybody has any funding that they want to throw my way or talk about, I would love to. I have my budgets and my production schedule made, and kind of in that development HELL.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's incredible. So that's your project yourself.
That's my
right?
personal
Your
project,
personal
yes.
project.
Mhm.
Out of the ones you've done in the past, maybe as an actor, is there a favorite project that you've gotten to be a part of?
That's not my own.
That's not your own.
That's not my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a few that haven't come out yet, so I can't really talk about those. I've had a lot of really fun projects. Actually, one thing I just went to recently, I went to Power Morphicon. Oddly enough, I kind of am a Power Ranger. I am a Power Ranger. I was part of some YouTube videos that went completely viral. As Scorpion from Mortal Kombat versus the White Ranger from Power Rangers, and Ryu from Street Fighter versus the Green Ranger from Power Rangers, and Jason David Frank actually joined these projects. They were just fight scenes, kind of like these mashup fight scenes on YouTube, but they blew up, and got very, very popular. And then all of a sudden, there's a new game that came out, Power Rangers Legacy Wars, was coming out, and they wanted to make a live action film with Jason David Frank. So he brought me and the Bat and the Sun people who made those other two films along, and now it became canon. So we actually became officially Power Rangers, and it turned into the Ryu Ranger, or the Crimson Hawk Ranger.
Yeah.
So I just went to Power Morphicon. I met a lot of fans, and but that was a lot of fun, mostly because I remember watching Jason David Frank when I was a kid, and getting to meet the man and see how dedicated he was to his fans, and then being able to fight him on screen, act with him on screen, and really kind of follow that, and then also get introduced to a lot of the Power Rangers fandom was it was a lot of fun. I don't know if it was the most trying for emotionally as far as my acting went, but it was a lot of fun to do, and to get to meet him, and I really will say that it was one of the honors of my life to be able to work with him before he died.
Yeah, and he has an action figure, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's an
You've got an action
figure of the
figure.
Crimson Hawk Ranger.
Yeah. Okay. And as we finish up, I do want to ask, since you have now done projects as a producer, as an actor, do you have any advice for future generations? With AI coming, what would you pass on to the new generation that's trying to get into film right now?
I would say, and this is it's like an interesting question for me, just because I'm a little bit of a jerk with this. I always tell people, don't do it. And well, the reason why I say that is because if me telling you not to do it stops you from doing it, then you shouldn't do it. Because it takes a lot of passion, it takes a lot of heartbreak, and it takes a lot of hard work to get into this. And even with all of that, it still might not happen, because there's a little bit of luck that needs to happen as well. And the work sometimes needs to feed you in order for it to work with this. Because at the end of the day, not everybody's going to be able to make a career out of this. It's something that a lot of people want to do, but nobody realizes the work that goes into it. And also, you have to really look at the state of the industry right now, because it's only going to be harder, not easier, to make a career out of this. It's one thing to get a job. It's one thing to get one film, but nobody is sustained off of one film. Nobody's sustained off of one project. It's going to take project after project after project after project. And even say you're in Spielberg's next movie, you're the lead actor in it. If that's the only movie you do, that money will last you at the best a couple of years. And then, are you no longer an actor? Like, what's going on here? Like, are you going to be able to book anything else? And so there is a lot of things that go into it. I really have to say that the number one thing is make sure that you absolutely love this, and that you're willing to go through all the no's, including the ones that I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. If you're still here, if you haven't been discouraged, okay. Can you please plug your socials for us, or your website, so we can find you, any funding for your projects, things like that? Where can we find you at?
Sure. My Instagram is @PeterJangOfficial. I'm also on Facebook. You can find me under my name, Peter Jang, Jang. And then my website is www.simplicity.pictures. There's no .com at the end. It's www.simplicity.pictures. And then I have my personal website through there as well, and there's a contact form on there if you want to talk to me. I also have a YouTube channel, Simplicity Pictures, that you can look at. And I have a personal one, but I don't really use it.
Yeah, not that one. Okay, that one. Okay, thank you so much, Peter, for your time. It was really amazing to learn about everything that you've gotten to do, and we're looking forward to your upcoming projects, some that you can't talk about, right? And thank you so much to the viewers of Maeya TV for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.